Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. This is fish vlog number 169, and I'm taking advantage of a small break in my regular work, well, to get some work done in my fish room. Lots of stuff was overdue, and the first thing I want to do here is fix the crack in this tank and get the tank back into service, because there's lots of fish I can be putting in it. So, if you remember from my last video, I had drained it down, I had raised it inside the glass, scrubbed it all, and let it dry. Turned out I let it dry for about a week and a half, so it should be good and dry now. And what I'm going to do is just, as you can see here, just spread some silicone along the crack. Because my tank is supported by, well, you can see the overflow there, I don't really need to put a sheet of glass on the inside. It's, like I said, supported on both ends, so I'm not going to bother. It's also a very tight fit, as you can tell by me trying to get this silicone into place. But if you don't have that, it's a simple matter of cutting a square sheet of glass that encompasses all the cracks, and then just smearing silicone on it and squishing it into place, and that's basically it. You could add a little bit of silicone on the outside if there's a bit of a lip in the crack, so that there's like a raised edge that could be sharp. Not the case here, so I don't have to worry about it, but it's the only purpose for doing that is to keep yourself from getting cut. It doesn't help seal it at all. So because I have an overflow system here, what I'm going to do is plug up the overflow. I took the hose off, put that little rig on it you saw there. I'm going to turn down all of the spigots here, all the overflows, and I'm going to let that tank fill up about half to 3/4 of the way. That way it's getting mostly aged water. I'm getting a little bit more than what I would normally do for water change for these guys, but again, it's been about 2 weeks since I did a water change, so it's perfectly fine. So I'm going to turn these all down, pop that off, and just let it fill up the tank. Like I said, it's just a better way than going to each tank and just siphoning water. And I have no idea where that came from, by the way, but it had an added benefit. Flushing all this through here, popped out a small piece of sponge that came from somewhere. Again, like I said, I have no idea where it came from. Must have been during one of these water changes and a piece of sponge got in there. Has to have been from the bottom ones, because the top ones are just way too thin. But anyway, it's no longer in there, which is nice. So now that these are drained down, I'm going to turn them all back up. And the next step is to, well, let this drain a little bit longer, and then I'm going to fill it all out. I'll do a lot off camera and put a filter in there, and basically it's in about a day it'll be good for putting fish in. As it turns out, I end up putting fish in almost right away, because the next big project is the pond. I want to take care of that. It is very, very overgrown. So this is the plug I put on there. This is actually just water that is in those pipes, those 1.5-inch PVC pipes. One, I plugged it up, they all filled up, of course, and then filled up to the point where they would overflow in that end tank. So I'm just going to drain that all down. Don't really need to do this. I can just stick that piece of hose that's on my right hand there on, and it would have been fine. But I wanted to see if there was anything in there that was going to end up plugging that hole. Could have been snails, all sorts of stuff. So I want to make sure it's flowing properly, and it was. So that's perfectly good. And all I'm going to do now is, once it slows down a little bit more, stick that on there, and this is basically done. It's really handy having an overflow system like this. It makes water changes so much simpler, and especially when you get busy like I've been lately, it just makes this something that you can actually do instead of ignore forever. So there you go. Sealed, dry, not pretty, but it's serviceable. That's all that really matters. And like I said, I was going to let it sit for a day or two, and then of course get fish in it, but like I said, I want to take care of that pond. All that's in the pond right now are some culls. I was using it initially for groats, for guppies and other stuff, but I've been throwing in a lot of the fish I don't want to breed. You can see there's one guppy at the bottom of the screen struggling. I was hoping it would recover in here, but it hasn't. So, well, the African cichlids are going to get a snack. Sorry about that for those of you who are sensitive, but this is a working fish room, and at least it will go to some use. So there you go. I'm going to take these all out. I'm going to prune everything down. It's very, very overdue. And also I want to modify this. I want to make it a little bit more fish friendly, I really love all the plants, but a little bit less would be fine too. So I'm going to take out a couple of the drip trays. I'm going to reroot this because it is just insanely overgrown. And then I'm going to remove these two end trays. I've already removed the plants from them, and taking these two out will actually give me an awful lot of, well, floor space, as you can see here. It does make it a lot more roomy. And by the way, that clay pot, the one that's bubbling there in the background, I really like that. That's actually a really good filter. If you remember when I put that together, all it is a clay flower pot, and it's got a acrylic plate in the bottom that I've drilled, and then of course put a standpipe in it. And it just has a rigid airline tubing, and it comes to the top. And like I said, it's just grows well, the peace lily, and it does actually do a very good job of keeping the tank clean, which is kind of impressive considering it is just as basic as you can get. So I'm going to drain this down completely. I wasn't initially planning on doing this. I was just going to, do a good-sized water change, and then I was going to take a vacuum and just clean up the bottom bits. But as I was doing this and pulling out plants and removing fish and everything else, it just figured, well, almost just do it all right now. So I'm going to drain this down completely. I'm going to take a shot vac. I'm going to get all the mulm that's left over in the bottom. Tons of shrimp and scuds in here. I saved a few of them, but I have many thousands of them. So they went to feed some fish. And yeah, this is going to be nice and clean after all this. And like I said, it was well and truly overdue. So this is going to go back into service as a grow-out tank, which is what it always was meant to be. It is set up with all the coral that's in here for guppies, so I'll probably do that. But there's a bunch of fish that are quite hardy. I'm going to keep this as well. I'm going to put a lot of plants in it, but I'm not going to keep the amount that I had before, where you couldn't even see in what was going on in the tank. It was getting to the point where it was not really functional anymore, and I don't want to have that happen again. So there you go. This is going to get shop vac out. By the way, if you have a big fish room, these things are very, very useful. It makes things a lot faster, and you can get right down to the very clean surface. Another reason why I wanted to do this is I wanted to check the seams. Built this out of a fair amount of scrap acrylic, and you never know with acrylic when it's older. It may not hold, but everything's perfectly fine. I haven't had any issues with it. And the other thing I want to do, you see that pipe I'm cleaning right there, I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to shorten it because I don't need all those holes now. So it'll be cleaner and shorter, and well, here it is filled up. And it's going to percolate for a few days, and then had a huge water change. This definitely needs to percolate for a few days. And I cleaned that and shortened it. 4 of them are going into those pots, and one's just spraying into the aquarium. And yeah, there you go. It's good, and it's going to be full of fish hopefully soon, as I have a ton of guppies I need to spread out. Thank you very much for watching. Leave comments. Let me know what you think about all this, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.